Hello over there, everyone. Looks like I do have this thing here recording, right? Um, well, my name is Uncle Stan, and oh, there we go. Whoa, there we go. Mr. Bailey asked me if I would teach y'all some this year, and so I decided, you know what, my schedule worked, and so today I'm going to be covering a little bit of this thing called the later English colonies. Yes, sirree. And let's see here. And I understand Mr. Bailey giving you instructions on what all you need to do. And all I had to do was teach you the lesson. He gave me everything. Said you got whatever note sheet you need or to fill in a chart on there. And so all I had to do is get you the information. You'd be good to go. So now I'm not real technologically literate, as they say. So we're going to hope this thing works and works right. So it looks like so far it's recording. I think that's, yeah, I think I'm good there. Oh, okay. All right. So some of y'all may not know who I am, and I don't. Hey, look, I understand that not everybody knows every famous person out there. Now, I'm sure though that if you haven't heard of me, you probably heard of my really hard to understand, hard to believe, but my cousin is a little more famous than I am. His name is Uncle Sam. All right, now Uncle Sam is the one that you've seen in them their posters. Say, maybe want you or you may have heard talk about Uncle Sam being referred to as the government and all that kind of stuff. So he's got a pretty good gig going on, so I'm a little more available, you might say, to help with these kinds of things. So I know Mr. Bailey for a number of years now and have taught some classes for him. And so I'm just excited to be able to do this again. And hopefully I'll be able to teach you guys again sometime this semester, I believe you call it. Or not. No, 9 weeks is the shorter one. The semester is the longer one, right? Yeah, that's it. And so today I'm going to be teaching the what are they calling them? Mortar bricks, brick house. No, brick and mortar. That's what brick and mortar students. I'm gonna be teaching them today. So thought it'd be good for y'all to you go and have their video and things like that from me today on this. So let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and get started with this here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. And oh, hey, there we go. Look at that. It's working. All right, so today you're going to be able to answer the following when we're all done. Now, there's actually going to be 2 videos on this. So if you've used the first one, you should be watching this one first. If you're not, then somehow you got them out of order. I'm not sure how you did that, but you did. But by the time you get through the 2 videos, 2 of them, you're going to be able to answer this question. How did geography shape the societies of the colonial regions and impact the need for labor? That's a mouthful. So basically, you understand how geography shaped those colonies and how that really, well, I may even touch on how some of those effects lead into things that you're going to be studying at the end of this year, which is the Civil War. So we're going to just go and take a look at some of that there. And so here we go. All right. Now, first things first, though, we do have to make sure that we all talking about the same thing when it comes to some of this here, okay? So first thing first, we need to make sure that we have got some definitions. All right, so the first thing is, what is geography? All right, now you'll be able to write these definitions down. I believe on the left-hand side of your chart, there's a space under each of these words. This is where you can write the definition so you know what we're talking about. All right, so you're going to want to write this down. Geography deals with location and climate. So, in particular, what colonies are in these different groups? What's their climate like? What's their soil maybe like? What's the land like? All those kinds of things are going to come up when it comes into geography. All right. Now, the next thing is you say government. Really, when we say government, what we really mean who's in charge. All right. Now, it ain't Charles in none of these places. Charles ain't in charge of any of these colonies. Now, if you don't know what that reference is, ask your parents. Maybe they know about Charles being in charge. But that's government. We talk about who's in charge. All right, not talking about government structures and kinds of government and all that. That's civics. You learned all about those different kinds of governmental types in civics class last year. That's not what we're talking about. Now, we're also going to be talking about religion, but really what we mean by religion is beliefs. Now, some of them have got all kinds of religion. Some of them got like no religion, but they all got beliefs. All kinds of things that are important to them and all that kind of stuff. That's really what we're talking about. We call it religion because some of them are very religious. But it just kind of helps to make sure we understand it's not just religious beliefs, it's any kind of major beliefs. Now, when it comes to economy, we're really just talking about how they make money. Because we all know they weren't there just to hang out. They was all there to make some kind of money. All right, and then different places do it differently, just like today. All right, so again, if you need time to make sure you get all these definitions written out, this is the point in the show where you can pause, because that's the beauty of that there this thing they call YouTube. That YouTube, that's what it's called. YouTube. You can just hit that those little arrow, those two lines, and it'll pause it for you. See, just like I paused there for you, give you a chance to do that. All right, so here we go. We're moving on. All right, first group we're going to look at in this video here is the New England colonies. Now, it's my understanding that you've already done some map work about these colonial regions, so you should have some idea maybe where those New England colonies are. If not, go check out the maps, because my understanding you've already done some. All right, now geography contains Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Now, the tricky thing is, I'm sure you noticed this on your map, Massachusetts looks kind of weird because it's in two places separated by other colonies. Now, I'm not really sure how all that happened. I don't really remember. All I know is that's weird. A lot of folks, though, think that other colony that's up there is Maine. Well, Maine's the state. Maine was never a separate colony, and if that was true, then we have 14 colonies, which means our flag would all be kinds of wrong because there's 13 stripes and 13 colonies, and it'd just be a hot mess. So it were only 13 colonies, and Massachusetts just was in two different places. Now, the other part of the geography about those New England colonies, they had unleveled land. Their winters are still bad. They were long and harsh. All right, and the ground just full of all kinds of rocks, and it just wasn't good in a lot of ways for certain things. Now, the government, or who was in charge, that's a stock company known as the Plymouth Company. So they're the ones who dominated the New England colonial region. All right. Now, stock companies are much like companies we have today that sell stocks. Stocks is where you're basically you're buying like a portion of the company. So these were had a bunch of different people put their money together and said, we're all going to kind of own the company, and maybe more people bought more stock than others, and so more people have more ownership. All right, that's kind of how a stock company would work. Now, when it comes to religion, this is the place. When you talk about this place where people all kind of have some religion up in there, this is the place, is in those New England colonies, in particular with this group called the Puritans. Now, the Puritans wanted to purify the Church of England. That's how they get their name, Puritans, purify, to clean it up. There were certain things that they just thought that the Church of England needed to get taken care of. Okay. Now, the one thing about their little colonial area of New England that they had, well, they only allowed Puritans were allowed to be there. So they were a pretty strict group. And you're going to learn a lot more about them next week, some of the Puritans and Puritan beliefs, some of the beliefs anyways. And so they're a pretty well-known group from these New England colonies. All right. Now, the last thing here deals with the economy. Now, the economy, again, that's dealing with how do you make money. Now, this economy up in New England, they weren't able to grow enough crops. Now, the reason they weren't able to grow enough crops is bring you back up here to this whole geography thing. Right? Yeah, unleveled land, rocks on the ground, harsh winters. So they had a short growing season, and the soil wasn't really good for growing stuff. Okay? Now, they were able to grow some things. There's some farming up there, but there was what's called subsistence farming, which means they grew enough maybe for their own household. But that's it, not enough to sell. So they had to figure out another way to make money. So they looked around and said, well, what do we got a lot of? Well, we got a lot of water, also known as an ocean. There's a lot of fish in that water, so they did fishing. And then they looked around and said, hey, we got a lot of forest and wood, so we're going to sell lumber. And then they got into regular kinds of trade and that kind of stuff. And that's really how the economy of New England, that's how it worked. Very different than the others, as you'll see. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. So if you need to go back and get something, you can go backwards on this video and do what you need to do on this. And then in the second video, we'll pick up right here if I'm able to figure out this whole technology thing again. And hopefully I can. But we'll pick right back up here with this here screen. And we'll take care of those other two colonial regions, okay? All right, here. Let's see if I can. Is it that button? I don't know. I think it's. Is it that there? I think it is. Maybe I.